Well, we have a champion crowned and the tournament is set. Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Central District Hoops Report. I'm your host, Justin Griffiths, and in this episode, I'm going to recap the semifinals and championship game of the Central District Tournament and also show you my live reaction to the NJCAA bracket being released Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this week's episode. In the first semifinal, pitted Kaskaskia against Lincoln Trail. Lincoln Trail was injured, and Kaskskia was able to cruise into this second straight upset for them. So they advanced to the championship game. They led from opening tip to final horn and really cemented their Cinderella-type run that they made like in 2019 all the way to Hutch. While Kaskaskia handled business against Lincoln Trail, John A. Logan handled business against Lakeland. They won this one again, starting tip to final horn. They just led the Lakers by as many as 20 points, and Lakeland did make a game of it a little bit in the second half, but it was just too much of a deficit for them to overcome. So in the championship game, you had John A. Logan against Kaskaskia, and John A. Logan wins this going away. Kaskaskia finally, their Cinderella road ends in the championship game. For John A. Logan, obviously they needed to win this game to get into Hutch. I don't think they would have gotten in otherwise with double-digit losses. So they knew the assignment going into the week, and they executed it perfectly. So, and again, congratulations to Coach Smith Peters and his team for picking up a huge win. LeBron Thomas was named the Player of the Year in the region. So we have John A. Logan definitely into Hutch. Does Vincennes get an at-large bid? Let's go ahead and jump into my reaction. I started this about 10 minutes before the selection show and then followed it all the way through, filling in a bracket as they announced teams. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, let's jump into the national tournament of the NJCAA. It's been a wild selection Sunday already for the big tournament. Let's see what the JUCO tournament has for us. Nick Nielsen had his bracketology out before, so we'll just see what happens here as we get ready for this national tournament in Hutchinson, Kansas. Now, the difference between the big tournament and the NJCAA tournament is the big tournament has different brackets, all leading into the Sweet 16 and whatnot. The junior college tournament goes seed 1 to 24, no different brackets, all one arena for 1 week. That's what I love about this tournament. So, as they keep talking about the tournament, let's go ahead and hopefully we'll see some good seedings for our two district teams. As you see, the games times around here, it's going to be one heck of a game. You can watch it all on, as you see down there, njcaa.org or ESPNU for the finals, ESPN Plus for the rest of this tournament. So, let's go ahead and see the first teams for the March 22nd, John A. Logan. That is exactly where Nick Nielsen thought Logan was going to be. A 16 seed, had a huge win in the district championship. Good on John A. to getting back into the tournament. They won the tournament back in 22-23. They missed it last year, so to see John A. Logan back into the tournament is amazing. Now, the biggest question for me as covering the district and as a Vincennes fan, as we see they will face Connors State, is where does Vincennes play in all this? Do they get in even? So it's going to be interesting. Logan has a tough opponent in Connors State. They won their district as well. And again, 16 district champions will be here and only 8 at-large teams. So let's see who the number 1 overall seed is. Although they've been number 1 for a long time, no surprise, it is Snow College. Like I said, Snow has been ranked number 1 for most this year. So that is no surprise that they are the number 1 overall seed in this tournament. So Snow, once again, they won their district. We didn't have to face Snow when we were at Hutch, as when I was with the Trailblazers. So we had to face Salt Lake. Or Salt Lake was in our tournament. We never had to face them, though. The 9 is the... How do you pronounce that? I've always known it as Barton. But the defending national champions as the 9 seed. That's... Okay, that's 1 at-large team down, and that's interesting that they're the 9 seed. Who do they face?
Brunswick. The Dolphins are dancing. A monster second
Brunswick. Okay, the Dolphins of Brunswick. Good on them. I mean, again, we've never, when I say we, personal experience, going to this national title, we've never seen Brunswick, so good on them to making the tournament. Obviously, they haven't been in a while if they're the last seed in. They won their district, so let's see who the winner of this game will have to face.
Daytona State.
And that is the 8th seed. Wow.
Outside of a couple forfeits.
That's a shocker.
5 straight games.
I don't think Nielsen ever had them that high.
Up-tempo offense that averages 95 points.
That's interesting.
Different players averaging 8.
So 2 of the 8 at-large bids are out already.
Matchups, the 13 and 20 seed. The 13
that kind of makes me worried for Vincennes now.
Chipola. The Indians are
so let's go ahead and look at this 13-20 matchup. Chipola, okay. Chipola seems to always be there, so that makes sense. So, a little low on that, though. I think Chipola should have been ranked higher. Although, again, I think Nielsen didn't have a Monroe. We've the Blazers have faced Monroe a couple of times. I don't know if it's been in the regular season. We didn't see them when I was there as a member of the Trailblazers, but I know that Vincennes has played Monroe in the past. So good to see Monroe in the tournament.
South Plains.
See who the 4 seed in this year's tournament, South Plains. Not surprising. South Plains won another one of those historical schools that are in the tournament almost every single year. So, yeah, not surprising that South Plains wins. It is in there for the Texan district area.
The 12 seed is another.
Excuse me, had to drink some juice. So, now this 12-21 matchup. Let's see.
The loss in the regional semifinals will not be the end of the season for Angelina. One of the best.
Nothing against this team. I've never heard of this team before.
Allowed the least points
Angelina.
Anyone in the NJCAA.
But that's another.
On the number 21 seed, South Georgia
State. That's another at-large bid
second straight season
away, and they'll face South Georgia State. Now, I have seen South Georgia State before, so.
Rainey and Justin McCarter. Charge for the Hawks, averaging 19 and 17.2 points per game. Winner of the 12 and 21.
Wow. Okay, so Angelina and South Georgia State. Let's see who they'll face. Jones. I know Jones very well. Back in the 2014 national title run that the national tournament that we were in, we faced Jones in the Final Four. In that specific tournament, the team won 7 out of 8 halves. The only half that we lost to was against Jones. So it's good to see Jones back into the tournament. I think Jones actually won the national title that year, too. So good to see Jones back in there. Good to see them as a 5 seed. Whoa! The disrespect at Triton.
Rivers by 12 points.
I mean, I get that they lost to 3 Rivers, but wow! They were top 10 most of the year.
After a thrilling OT finish against Roane State in the
Columbia State,
finals, the championship was a lot less stressful.
That's going to be a difficult matchup for Triton. We saw Columbia State earlier in the year when they took on Vincennes and beat them. I mean,
15 points a night while shooting 43.7%
that is
from deep.
Wow. I'm still hung up on the Triton thing. I'm sorry.
Cowley.
So let's see who the 2 seed of this tournament is. Cowley. No surprise, another team out of Kansas area.
The Tigers are Plains District champions.
So going to be interested to see how Cowley does on this side of the bracket. They're on the opposite side of snow, obviously. So if everything runs chalk, that we will see a Cowley Snow Championship.
Pensacola State.
The 10 seed in this year's tournament.
First time since 1993. Pensacola State.
Wow.
Gulf Coast State 54-51.
What?
South Atlantic District Championship.
Did Nick have this team?
With a man in the middle, Dimitri Clerk.
And a 10 seed, they're comfortably in.
7.3 rebounds per game. They get the number 23 seed.
Wow, and that makes
Trojans are back in Hutch for the 4th consecutive season.
Oh wow, Trinidad State. Yep. I've
won the Northwest
covered Trinidad when I did a 2020 video, or in the 2019 recapping. I know I've talked about Trinidad State before. They're back in the tournament. Good for them. But wow. Pensacola State,
Cardinals were selected.
Trinidad State will take on Trinity Valley. Okay, I mean they were. That's about right where they would be if.
Cardinals are one of the best defensive teams in the country.
If you're saying all that, so Trinity Valley is the 7th seed. Again, they deserve to be in. They were top 10 all year, but again, that just says what Triton did for most of the year in the top 10 meant nothing if they're the 15 when Trinity Valley's the 7. So let's see the 14 seed here. There it is. There's Vincennes. Okay. So the Trailblazers are in. They're a 14 seed. A little bit better than Triton. And who will they get for the 19 matchup?
And he's going to be a name to look out for as this
tournament
progresses.
Again, Vincennes had a 20-game win streak earlier, or snapped by Kaskskia in the district quarterfinals. They'll take on Three Rivers. Okay. Not the greatest matchup for Vincennes, but at the same time, they've played against a lot of common opponents against each other. Vincennes has played against Triton, so has Three Rivers. They've beaten John A. twice. They've beaten Wabash Valley and Olney, which all of those teams have played Three Rivers. So this is a very interesting matchup. The 14-19. Interesting to close out day 1 of the tournament, too. That's 8 p.m. If they win that, who will they face as the 3 seed? Indian Hills. I have stories about both Three Rivers and Indian Hills. My freshman year at Vincennes, we played both these teams as part of a home and home, and those were slug out, grind out mindsets. Vincennes played Indian Hills last year, so that's going to be interesting to say the least. Frank Phillips College, wow! For a team that, and this might be my own naivete, never heard of Frank Phillips College. They're above Triton. They're above the national runner-up Triton. They're above Vincennes, 2019 national champions, and they are comfortably in this tournament. And they're facing on Wallace State. Wallace State, we were in the same tournament in 2014 and 2013 as well, I believe. So I've heard of Wallace State, have not heard of Frank Phillips College. But wow, so the committee really liked what Frank Phillips did. That is interesting. And again, I don't know. But that's interesting. Panola. Okay, I mean, I get. Is this just the Texas bias? I get. Again, I know Panola beat Trinity Valley in the tournament and to get here. I understand that. I don't think Panola should be
contest.
A 6 seed.
Let's zoom out, take a look at the full
I mean,
field.
again, you
left corner, John A. Logan, the 16, takes on Connor
going back
Stewart.
again as we look at this, you have Triton, you have
at the 9 seed.
Even Barton, you have the national champion and the national runner-up playing on the first weekend, or on the first 2 days, while you have teams like Daytona State and Panola in. At least give the national champion the respect they deserve and have them be the 6th seed. I don't know. But holy moly. I mean, controversy for both the NJCAA and the NCAA committees here, but this is the tournament, so no reason to keep crying about it. This is what they've decided for the tournament. It's going to be a fun tournament, don't get me wrong. I just don't think that it should have been like this. Again, a couple different seedings should have happened. But overall, I can't complain about this tournament. Oh yeah, definitely surprised. I thought Triton, even though they lost to Three Rivers, that they would have been more than a 15 seed. I would have thought that Vincennes, I mean, we looked at Nick Nielsen's bracketology, and he had him as an 8 seed. Obviously, they're 14. They have to take on said Three Rivers. That's going to be an interesting game for them. John A. Logan, we kind of knew where they were going to be, and Nick Nielsen labeled that perfectly where they were at. I think he had them as a 17 seed. They ended up being a 16. So it works out. 2 district teams on the outside side of the bracket. Both roads to the championship game are going to be very difficult. As I said towards the end of my live reaction, as long as I have time, like if I get off work and they're playing, I'll do a live reaction to the games. But I do plan to do kind of what I did in 2019, which is at least recap all the games on this channel going forward as we start the tournament on March 22nd this year, and it goes all the way to March 29th. So without further ado, I will see you guys recapping the first game of the tournament. Till then, peace.